Hi, friends and the professionals. Greetings of the day. This is Pritesh Patil welcoming you in our new initiative of learning and development. This series is Decodify and Simplify the PMBOK version 7. It is in continuation of our series where we have completed chapter 1 and right now we are discussing the chapter 2, that is System for Value Delivery. This is chapter containing the 5 sections and we are discussing today the section 2.1 and 2.2, that is creating value and organization governance system. So creating value, we had discussed in our previous section how to create the value and when and what kind of things we need to consider while creating value. Now in this section we are discussing what are the components that we need to consider and what are the components by which we can create the value. So there are many. To start with, it's an entire ecosystem. We are working and doing the things in an environment. So there are external and internal environment, and in that we are doing the projects, program, and the portfolio. So project is a simple, a standalone initiative, a group of interlinked projects clubbed together that called a program, and the totality of organization investment including projects, program, and in operation that called a portfolio. So it's a complete ecosystem that is the component for value delivery. So when the challenges come, when we are think from a silos point of view, when a project 1 is not having a coordinate with project 2, or there is no synergy between the organization, there is different silos, different department and bureaucratic culture, that is a barrier to deliver the value. By creating a value, these are the components, how well or effectively we can utilize this all component that bring a synergy in the ecosystem and that in turns give an multiplier effect that help you to achieve your organization objective. So that is the main objective, that creating a value. So these are the components that require to work in a coordination to deliver the value. Now we are trying to understand what is the information flow, how the information flow. So if you check over here, first the senior leadership, who is a CXO level, your boards of director and all that, their work and their role is to provide a strategy. They are defining how to build a long-term plan. So that is a strategy. What to do, that they basically define. After that, they define in a portfolio what are the projects and programs need to be incorporated, or what are the projects and programs need to be select or invest for next horizon or next financial plan. So they define the portfolio. Now the information with the portfolio, there is a portfolio program managers, that's their responsibility. What defined by the senior leadership, how they execute that program and project under that portfolio during that timeline, that is they are focused on more on outcomes benefit tracking. So they pass on that information to the program and projects, in which they provide a guidance that how to execute within the timeline and how they deliver the value out of that. And the program and projects, they are focused on timely delivering with the scope, time constraint with the quality, so that they transform that new change initiative into the business as usual, that is your operation things. They transform the new product, service or initiative to the operations, and then that become the system, your organization capabilities. So that is the information flow from the portfolio to the program to the project and to the operations. And after that, there is a reverse flow as well. From the operations, they are progressing. If there is some challenges, some issues with the daily operations, they highlight by exception or issue or risk register. And project and program are highlighting by day-to-day progress report of the project. That frequency depends on what is the requirement of the end user, sometimes daily, sometimes periodically based on the quarterly or fortnightly, that we can define. And the portfolio will show the progress and a performance of the entire portfolio to the senior leadership. So ultimately this information flow is required to understand and to highlight how our projects or program ultimately link with the organization objective. And if it's not aligned with the organization objective, there is no requirement or there is no need to waste the organization resources. So that we need to understand how the information flow, and this is very well explained over here. Now we will detail it out, the benefit tracking that is interlinked with the information flow, how we track the benefits. So as you see over here, so first part that how the before the project phase, in the pre-project, in the transition, and once you complete the project and hand over to the operations team, how the information flow. I will explain this diagram by example of one thermal power station. So as you see over here, there is a thermal power station which needs to be built during the 5 years, and it's required a 10 million US dollar. So after you complete the project execution during the 5 years, your revenue to the organization is 0, right? So it's showing very shrinkage over here. There is no revenue on the top. After the 5 years, during the first year, once you complete your project, hand it over to the operation team, at that on the 6th year, you get a revenue of 1 million. My question is that your role is not completed at a project level. So once we have a project mindset, we are just focusing to complete and hand it over to the operation team. But we should have that project program and product life cycle in our mind, and we think from the organization point of view, where organization invest 10 million US dollar, so that by what you can deliver, what value you can bring to the organization. So at this you handed over this tracking to the business change manager or someone who is accountable, who is doing a periodically review. On the 6th year, you do review that what money an organization invested, how much you can get return out of that. So that is benefit tracking on the 6th year, 7th year, 8th year, and so on and so forth. On the 10th year, it would be 15 million. And so from this, I just wanted to give you an hypothetical example. Let's say you get a return on investment. Your payback period would be 8 years. By that, you get the whole money you have invested, and then your profit will be started. So this benefit tracking and how the information flow. So if during the operation of the 7th or 8th year, if you started with a business case that your thermal power plant generating 1000 megawatt electricity every year, but if somehow because some maintenance issue it's not able to generate that 1000 megawatt electricity, its productivity decrease or efficiency decrease by some percentage, it's generate only 500 megawatt, then you need to intervene and you come up with some other projects to back up and make that benefit tracking up to the mark. So this is how we do take the benefit. Now after this understanding of the holistic thing, we are discussing about organization governance system. So before we understanding about how we govern the projects and all that, we need to understand the difference between the project or a governance and the management. So governance is about how we lead the organization. On the counterpart, management is about how we manage the day-to-day operations and the projects. Governance is focused on vision and strategy, while management is focused on executing the strategic goals. Governance is focused on policy and framework, while management is focused on how to deliver that things. So governance bodies to oversee the management, and they are not there to manage day-to-day things, while the executive bodies are there to manage the delivery. Example of the governance would be your steering committee, boards of directors, CXO level, and your management would be each and every team members on your team are managing the project, they are delivering this. So it is not a clear-cut bifurcation between the governance and management, but on a very high level things, governance is not involved in all small issues. If they are involving, you are wasting their time and energy. They are focusing on more strategic and policy level thinking, while management is involved in both. They are governing as the authority defined by the governing body, and they are managing the things as well. So with that understanding, we are understanding the governance system. So when we are executing the project, we should have that thought process that whatever the project, each and every team member should abide with the governance policies. So if you check over here, there is a team manager, project board, and the corporate board. So a team manager, so what challenges a governance or the top executive face that the time constraint. So if they involve in each and every small things, they lose the control, means they don't have the time there to manage all the things. And if they are not involved in each and every things or decision points, they lose the control from the project. So how to resolve that issue or that dilemma? So one technique that we call delegation, or set the threshold limit at team manager, project, program, and governance level. So how it's helped that the management not need to involve, the governance body not need to involve in small trivial things. They save their time and simultaneously they have the control. Like if I wanted to give you an example, the team manager have the authority of this performance, that $1,000. So until the $1,000, the small change requests come, they can try and accommodate at that level. But beyond the $1,000, they have to take an approval from the project manager, and project manager have that authority up to $10,000. He not need to take an approval from the project board. On his level, he can do that necessary requirement. After the $10,000, he need to escalate further to the project board up to $50,000. The project board has the authority. Within $50,000 board, after the proper documentation and impact analysis, change control board will approve that. But beyond $50,000, they had to raise the concern to the corporate board up to $100,000. So this how you can set a parameter like scope variation, cost variation, time variation. So until that designated authority, a particular level authority will take a call. Beyond that, they can escalate to the further level. So that give you a synergy, means you not need to involve your top management on small trivial things. That save their time. They involve that time in a strategic thinking, but simultaneously they don't lose the control, because beyond certain limit you have to come to them. So this is how the governance mechanism that is aligned with other strategies like a quality control and other things. What is your governance policy? You have to refer that, and you have to back of the mind during your project execution, you align with that governance system. So that is the whole idea about the PMBOK7, about this particular topic, that organization governance system, how we govern the particular project and program. So hope you like this session. With that understanding, we are completing today's session. Thank you very much for your quality time.